as we kick off here, I'll introduce myself. My name is Dan Garfield. I run the open source and GitOps at Octopus Deploy. I'm an Argo maintainer. I work primarily on Argo CD, but try to work with all the projects as much as I can. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Argo, huh? And so I first want to ask, how many people, is this your first ArgoCon? Raise your hand. Wow, most people. Oh, most people. Okay, if you've been to 2 or more, raise your hand. Okay, keep it up if you've been to 3. 4? 5? 6. How many ArgoCons were there? I think it's 6 is the number, including the virtual one. So I don't know how many people made it to that one. So we all started this vision, right, with the idea of getting more done with Kubernetes. This is the mission of the Argo project. And today, 2/3 of Kubernetes users are already using the Argo project. That's a clap line. So, yeah. Yeah. It's true that Helm is more popular, but who's really deploying all those Helm charts? We all know the answer. So yeah, 2/3 of Argo users, of Kubernetes users, are already using Argo today. Now this includes for use cases like CD, GitOps. This includes running data pipelines, doing ETL pipelines, doing eventing, doing progressive delivery. And one of the brilliant things about the Argo project is that all of these tools are designed to work with or without each other. We had a wonderful case study from a user who was using Argo rollouts to do all of their progressive delivery, Salesforce, just recently, who talked about all of this that they were doing with progressive delivery, and they weren't actually even using the other parts of the project. They just grabbed the part that they needed, threw it in, and got to work. So we love to see that. So across the projects, today you're going to hear about Argo workflows, Argo CD, Argo rollouts, Argo events, and of course, the most popular way of consuming these packages is with the Helm repository that we have. Now, originally, I don't know how many people know this, how many people install any Argo project using Helm? Most people, right? Yeah. We actually surveyed this, and almost, it was 80% of the community was using the Helm chart, and the Helm charts were not owned by the Argo project. It was a wonderful community effort from people doing that, and so last year we made the initiative to move it into the project and make it part of the main project. It just didn't make sense to have Helm charts be separate in that way. So across these 4 projects, we're now at about 43,000 stars. We're trending towards 20% growth. I would love to have your help to help us break 50,000 by the end of the year. So if you haven't gone over and starred the Argo CD repo, I see Alex is shaking his head. He's like, stars are meaningless, Dan. It's all about who's deploying it. I agree. I don't disagree. But people like the stars. I like the stars, okay? I grew up in elementary school getting a lot of special gold stars, and so I kind of work for those. So if you have a chance, please go and star those repos. Helps bring more attention to the project and helps people discover it. And another thing that we'd love to see, one of our best things that really shows us how people are adopting Argo and gives us a chance to interact with people, is when they add their company to the user's MD. Each repo has a user's MD file where you can add your company. And typically, this is a fairly easy ask for most companies. We see a lot of high security, very important companies in the world adding their names to this list. And every time we see that, and they're growing steadily, and you're going to hear from each of these projects, and they're going to share some of their new users and some of the interesting use cases. But every time we see people add their companies to this, it helps us get a measure of how people are adopting the project, and it also gives us a chance to identify somebody and say, oh, I'd love to hear about your use case. So if you haven't yet, please, after this, during the talk, if you've got your laptop out at some point, I'd prefer you pay attention to the talks, but if you wanted to go and open a pull request and add your company to the user's MD, it's a great way to get a free commit in. I know Hacktoberfest is over, so you're not going to get credit for it in that way, but it'll get you a commit onto one of the Argo repos, and that's worth shouting about. People are trusting Argo more and more. And this is something that we take very seriously. There was a case study that was just published just a few weeks ago where CloudChipper, I don't know if any of them are here, CloudChipper, but they had a 60% cost reduction by adopting Kubernetes. And when they did that, they trusted Argo CD to be the one to deploy their software. And that's a responsibility that all of us within the project take very seriously, because people rely on Argo CD, Argo workflows. This is critical infrastructure. This is not nice to have infrastructure. This is the stuff that's actually running the way that you deploy, the way that you get data pipelines, the way that you do all these things. So it's something that we take very seriously. And we would love to have your case study. So within the CNCF, there's a wonderful department whose whole job it is just to make case studies. And if you have a cool case study, if you've done something interesting with the Argo project, whichever component it may be, and we actually don't have that many Argo workflows case studies published out by the CNCF, feel free to get in touch with the container with any of the maintainers that can connect you with me or Lisa. We'll get you connected with the CNCF, and it's super easy. You hop on a Zoom, you tell your story, they'll write it up, and they'll share it with you for your approval before publishing. So it's a very low ask, and it's a great way to show off that your company is adopting cloud-native technologies. And so if you're trying to hire people, a lot of us are trying to hire people, great people. If you can share a case study with someone that says, hey, look, we're doing really cool engineering, people want to go and work with that company. So we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to share your wins. So please, if you have a case study to share, please share it. And if we love your case study, we may ask you to come present at ArgoCon or at KubeCon. At KubeCon London, we had Michelin, of course, the giant tire company and restaurant guide. I don't know which one they're more popular for, but they came and presented and gave the keynote at KubeCon, talking about how they were so successful using Argo, how it made them much, much more efficient, and they were able to do big cost reductions and big scaling using the Argo software. I want to take a minute and talk about some other projects within the Argo community. Now, of course, many of you are familiar already with the 4 main Argo projects. Many of you are probably using at least one, if not 2 or 3 or 4 of those. But we also have another organization that is called Argo Project Labs. Now, Project Labs is where application sets started. So a lot of really cool tools that end up going into these main projects actually started as community projects. And to get into Argo Project Labs, you basically just need to talk to a maintainer, and they can sponsor your project to go in. And so I want to share, we've actually had quite a few new projects added to Project Labs this year, and I wanted to share just a few highlights with you. MCP server for Argo CD. I think we actually have a talk about this later today. This was donated by Alex M. from Acuity. Appreciate him, and I don't know if he's in the room. But this gives you an MCP server for Argo CD, so you can hook it right into your AI agent and then put it to work doing tasks like syncing applications, updating them, doing rollbacks, all those kinds of things. So this is available at github.com/, all of these projects are at github.com/argoproj-labs. So this is a separate GitHub organization from ArgoProj, and that allows for more flexibility. They can have different licensing than projects that are normally in the CNCF. So please go, as you go to adopt these things, go and take a look at the repo, see what the rules are. And of course, these are also, while they are usually sponsored by an Argo maintainer, they are maintained typically by somebody often who's not an Argo maintainer. So just be aware of that as you go into it. Though in this case, this one is maintained by Alex M., who is an Argo maintainer. So MCP server for Argo CD, very cool. Love to see that. And then another project that was added just a few months ago was Assistant for Argo CD. So everybody can look at this, and you've already discerned exactly what it is. You're like, oh, okay, cool. It's a way that I can talk to my Argo CD using an LLM. Great. So look at that AI coming. This is a project, Gerald Nunn, I think Jan Fischer from Red Hat, as well as Leo from Intuit, all worked on this. And again, another great project that mostly Argo maintainers who helped put this together and have been engaging on this. Another project I want to call out is the monorepo controller. This is one that Pasha and Eugene or Yevgeny from Octopus Deploy worked on. And this is solves that problem that happens in Argo CD when you have a lot of activity and the revisions don't always match the changes that you're looking at. And so if you ever had that issue with Argo CD, there is a project out there that can help you do this. And as these projects, again, going back to MCP server, going back to Argo Assistant, as these things gain popularity and are adopted, if it makes sense, these things may end up in as part of these projects later. It's not a promise that we let these things get adopted by the community and see how they go, but that's always something that we think about. There's also some coming from the workflows community. So there's a wonderful project from Argo Workflows community builds. And this is a project that adds FIPS compliance to Argo Workflows. So somebody was working in a regulated industry, they needed FIPS compliance for whatever reason, and rather than trying to convince the main project to take on the maintenance of that, the overhead of that, they created a new project within Project Labs. They could add FIPS compliance, and so they could meet their needs. And as we see that feature mature, that's another example of something that may end up in the main project. Now again, it's not a promise. We let these things get adopted, but if that's a problem that you're trying to solve, that's an example of a way to solve it. We also have some really cool releases coming out there. I want to highlight just one because we're very short on time. That is the Argo CD agent. So this is a project that Jan Fischer and many others have contributed to. He's from Red Hat. Appreciate him, and great Argo maintainer. And as well as, I wanted to say Ashita, but now I'm forgetting. So anyway, apologies for forgetting everybody who worked on it. But Argo CD Agent provides a way where you can create essentially a tunneled access to a remote Kubernetes cluster so Argo CD can manage those resources remotely. And essentially it installs components of Argo CD on that remote cluster, but you can still manage it from a single instance. So this is a pretty exciting feature. It solves a number of challenges with networking and security, as well as just overall management. And this project has had a lot of interest. It actually came out last year, but they've just moved it out of experimental. And so we'd love to have feedback on it. I know they're anxious for users to start trying this out, start adopting it. So if you get a chance to check out Argo CD, agent for Argo CD, we'd love to have your feedback on that. Okay, so another note I want to make here is to welcome our newest maintainers. Now, each of the projects are going to give an update, and they'll share more about these maintainers. But in the project, we're of course always looking for contributions. So if you have a bug or an issue, you're all very good at raising them on the repo. Okay, we see that part people have down really well. They create those issues real quick. But if you have a chance, if you have the talent, if you have the time, we'd love to see those pull requests coming in. And if you ever need help, of course, every week we have a contributor experience meeting. Now, there's a contributor experience meeting for workflows. There's a contributor experience meeting for CD and rollouts. And this is a chance where maintainers come and hang out once a week. And if you have an issue that you're trying to solve or you're trying to figure out in terms of how to contribute a fix, this is a meeting where you can come and join that and get live face-to-face feedback and advice about implementation or workarounds or things that might exist. So we'd love to see you there. And of course, those are just on the CNCF calendar. And this is pretty cool to see so many new maintainers coming into the project. And many of these people started by making a single commit, right? They started by maybe just adding their company to the user's MD, right? Something that all of us can very easily do. And I'm encouraging you to do, obviously. But it starts with a single commit, and you find that there's a wonderful community of people that you can work with, a wonderful group of people that are trying to solve the same kinds of problems as you. And so even though you might just show up for the technology, you may walk away with some friends as well, because this is a really cool group of people that maintain this project. So we're at ArgoCon. I want to encourage you to get the most out of today. talk to somebody that you haven't met before. This is a conference. This is designed for you to meet people. And we've all, we're coming out of our shells a little bit for the last few years. We've been a little bit homebodies. But we're going to have a chance to chat with people. And today you may have even more chances to talk to other people, because I know at least one of our speakers couldn't get on their plane. So we're not going to have that talk anymore. So bear with us as we go throughout the day. We'll discover who has made it here and then who's made it through the venue. There's a lot of gauntlets to get through. So congratulate yourselves all for making it here today. I want you to enjoy ArgoCon. If you have feedback, please find a maintainer. I would love to hear it. Katie, Christian, and I are the co-chairs of this event. We want to make sure that you will have a great time, that you learn something. The hallway track, visit the sponsors, chat with people. You're going to hear so many interesting stories. And I think a lot of you have stories that you can share that are going to open up everybody else's minds. So with that, I just want to thank you for coming. And I'll introduce, and of course, thank our sponsors, Acuity, Intuit, Octopus Deploy, for being our diamond sponsors today.